Welcome to Female Frequency Podcast. Hi, everyone. I'm Jodie Nelson, curator, artist, mentor, divine channel, and host of Female Frequency. I am here to bring you unbound forms of ecofeminism, reclaiming art, spirituality, and feminine power to revive the earth. Each week, Female Frequency brings you intimate conversations with trailblazers and amazing stories to ignite change. You'll find inspiring alternatives to the patriarchy, discover creative paths, courage, connection, and magic. Hear from the heroes who activate and restore the divine feminine for our earth. Each episode serves as a catalyst, offering wisdom along with practical steps to empower you to make a positive impact on the planet. Whether you're an artist, empath, or eco-warrior, there's a story here to invite awe and help you embody what I call the female frequency. Hello, frequency friends. I am Jodie Nelson, and I'm going out on a solo mission on this episode. So today, it's just me and you. I want to talk about what I've become an expert in the last couple of years, and that is how to have main character energy in my life. Now, I'm going to come at this from a different point of view than what you have may be seeing on the internet. I'm going to come to you from a very high level view, a bird's eye view, and really what I mean is from a moon's view. I'm coming from this from a place of a very balanced viewpoint. And what I'm really talking about is the feminist lens. So coming at my life in context of feminism, and even more specific, I'm coming from an ecofeminism point of view. Yeah, I get that question all the time. What the heck is ecofeminism? I'm just not bound to one definition. Ecofeminism to me is an approach to the problem we're facing today. The feminine is out of balance. The feminine is in a deficit. It's not only affecting women, it is affecting the planet herself. This is a climate justice issue. I needed to re-ratio my energy. I needed to rebalance. I needed to step out of the conditioning of the patriarchy and shed light on my life that included feminist views. I've been able to have main character energy because I looked at my life through the feminist lens. Polarizing genders and polarizing these energies run so deep through so many cultures. If we just recap a few, these are a little bit of the PG ones, but, women don't speak until spoken to, stay quiet, don't take too much space, so go ahead and cross your legs. You don't know anything, just keep the peace, just keep quiet. Yeah, let's just revisit that for a minute. Whose peace are you keeping by being quiet? Is it you're going to keep their peace? Is that what you want to do? You want to keep everyone else's peace, even though it's hurting you? Yeah, you need to keep your peace. How about the pay gap? Women are paid less and expected to do so much more. What about looking at women's rights and in the United States? Let's take an example. Women couldn't get a credit card until 1974, 75 in the United States, regardless of their marital status. So thank you, Bella Abzug, and later on those other policymakers like Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Thank you. Yeah. I can escalate a few things and talk about the devastation and the pure dehumanization and violent acts on women not being able to get an education. It was forbidden. I can go back to, some of these fad diets were being spoon-fed and shoved down our throats when a lot of those testings were only done on men who have different metabolisms. How about mundane things like, how about the next time you get into a car and you put your seatbelt on? It wasn't until the late 90s, early 2000s that they used the female figure with actual crash test dummies. There's so many ways, so many things. And what I've learned at looking at my life through the feminist lens is that I'm way more dynamic than what I was being labeled as. I didn't have to accept these labels. I retraced my life events through the feminist lens. And I'd love to share my process with you. So later on in May, I'm going to offer a life mapping workshop where we can retrace your life events. But I can tell you more about that a little bit later. So I could either take these conditionings in the way that they made me feel, or I could alchemize them into what I truly wanted. So maybe you're like me and you want to shift something into something more meaningful. Maybe you want to look at your life in a more qualitative view and not so quantitative. Now, it's been a lifelong activation for me, stepping into my main character energy of my own life. I've had to take myself on pilgrimages. I've had to take myself on solo trips to really satisfy a portion of myself, to satisfy my adventure self. There's so many aspects to myself, and it was after listening to those quiet whispers, that female frequency, that helped me. Women just get these labels that confine us, and we're so much more multidimensional, multifaceted, and more dynamic. You know, if I didn't look at my life situations, my life events, like the abandonment, the brainwashing, the sexual abuse through the feminist lens, I would not understand myself. I would not have realized the main character energy of my life and a way to get to know my heart better so I can thrive instead of just survive. I mean, this main character energy is about understanding yourself, loving yourself, being in love with yourself. I live for me. And knowing that gives me so much liberation. And I know that this lifetime is about me and me. It's between me and being able to have that ecofeminist approach. It's not about being one type of person at my 9 to 5 and then coming home and being the real me. It's about that balancing and letting the main character be all the time. It's about trusting, even though it's kind of hard to see it if you don't have like real proof. You know, it's kind of like the wind. You know the wind exists. You know it's there. It's powerful. It picks up houses. You know, it's like love. You know that feeling of falling in love. You know it's there. Can't really put it in a box. But when you're in your main character energy, you're in your frequency, and it's amazing. Your main character energy will emerge and show you different ways of how it wants to live out loudly. Your frequency is going to step forward. It's going to show you choices. It's going to show you the style it wants to be, the vibe she wants to be in. So stepping into my main character energy is like, I know it goes through phases. So sometimes it looks and feels differently. And we know all about that because our bodies go through the menstruation process like monthly. We know some days we're more hungry than others because we're storing up before we shed. We know some days we're more tired because we are shedding. Those days where we're more sexually aroused because that's most likely when we're ovulating. You know, our body goes through these phases. So I can tell you, I mean, I know my phases is when I'm in my hummingbird phase, I'm in bright colors. I'm wearing even neon colors, just like hummingbirds. My attention span is real quick. I buzz around. Sometimes I'm in all black because I'm feeling like I need to be a sunflower and really soak up all the nutrients from the sun. Other times I know I'm in all pink, and I know that I'm much more in a receptive space. I'm much more softer then. So then I have these connections with myself that's guiding me into my frequency, and I can trust that I'm on my life map and in my magic. One funny thing, one dimension that I call myself, or that I have really, is my adventure self, because she is called to these sacred feminine sites. I'm like the female version. I'm the female Indiana Jones of sacred feminine sites. You know, and sometimes these sites are not in my backyard. You know, I got to travel to them. even though I will like to give a little shout out to my trees in Washington. They are amazing. They're amazing. But I can tell you my adventure self was yearning to go see the Venus of Willendorf in person. Now, this is a sculpture of the female form. It was unearthed in 1908. She now resides in the Natural History Museum in Vienna, in Austria. She's from the Paleolithic time zone. So I'm talking like forever ago. I'm talking 23 to 30,000 years ago. And for years, she would really present herself and say, come visit me. I'd see a picture of her. I'm like, I have got to go. And it was kind of hard to give myself permission to go. Like, do I put that on a credit card? How do I do this? How do I take the time off work to go when perhaps I should go see family instead? Or like, what should I do? So I just decided, how can I get more creative and manifest this? How can I make this my reality? Which is actually one of my favorite exercises to do. So I'd love for you to try it too. Just, if you're in a situation that you really want to manifest or make happen, just ask yourself, how can I be more creative to make it happen? So I want to tell you more about my trip. So I was just yearning to go see her. And so my creative solution was, well, if it's only money that is holding me back, sell everything, let's go. I was already kind of tired of my living situation. So I literally put my condo for sale. I started selling my shoe collection, which I got to tell you was a little harder than selling my condo, selling my house. But I had to keep the faith. I had to be receptive. My condo did not sell right away. And still, I had to stay in that zone of keeping the faith. And that's one of the traits of the feminist view, is believing in your intuition and believing in yourself, believing those whispers that you hear that are cheering you on, and that you know that the universe has your back. Well, it did finally sell, because I went and I had an amazing time. And there's so many facets to the story that I could tell you. And just a couple of them is as I began the journey, I reached into my faith and asked Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, I asked the feminine qualities of the universe, the real nurturing ones. I said, hey, protect me on this trip and let me know what the sign. And sure enough, I was in the airport, I was in the security line, and there is a woman with a huge tattoo on her arm of Mother Mary. So I just said, yes, here we go. Me and you, divine, me and you, let's go. So when I got to Vienna, I got to walk into the museum. She had her own chamber. She's behind this crystalline box, and it was amazing. There I was. She told me to go see the others. I sat with her, really learned some of the other words that the museum had put out about her. It was great. It was wonderful. Afterwards, I went out of the museum. I sat down. I just needed to rest for a minute and celebrate. And I went to the internet. I was probably going to post something about being there. And lo and behold, one of my friends' Instagram or Facebook post was, in the United States, Roe versus Wade was just overturned. Once again, the patriarchy flexing over female bodies and their own choices. I about lost it. I just lost it. So I'm continuing on my trip. And I was going from Vienna down to Murano, Italy, and then I was going to go up into Alba. I had already put those three things on my itinerary. I had been called to go to this little town in northern Italy called Alba, and I just was on faith. I didn't have any friends in Alba, didn't really know anything about the town, didn't have a huge art calling either. I just was going to this town. I was like, well, okay, I'm going to go. And so I decided, okay, I'm also going to go to the Lake Garda area. and explore. And I had made that itinerary like in January, and my condo sells in not until May. But what I really wanted to tell you about that whole story was I was just keeping the faith going to Alba. It turns out that now there are scientific studies that show that the stone of Venus of Willendorf was constructed of is from northern Italy, from this Lake Garda area. Once again, divine, thank you. It's me and you. It's me and you and me and my heart, and we're doing it. It was awesome. I had a great time in Lake Garda. It was amazing. Saw swans in the water, beautiful, quaint little town. It was awesome. It also kind of showed me a little bit more about human history too. Like if the stone is from northern Italy, were they then migrating up into the Austria area, the Gravitans? Like what were they doing? Just fascinating. But here we are, I got to tell you, Venus of Willendorf told me to go see the other. So I knew what that meant. That meant go to France to go see the other Venus sculptures. So if all of a sudden I was going to go to France, I was like, oh, shoot. I really want to go to the Mary Magdalene caves then. But that was in southern France. And that was a whole other organizing travel plans around that. Like, how was I going to get down there? And I was going to need a car because they're further out. And I was talking to a friend of mine. I was a little bit crabby about it all. And she just started laughing. She was like, really? This sounds like the easiest thing to do. You already love driving. This is a road trip. So she also then reminded me, she's like, I believe some of these sacred sites you were not able to drive a car to. So this sounds easy. And it shouldn't be about the how, right? It should just be like, why does my soul need to go? I just need to activate it. Let's go. Because some of these sites, I literally would get into a cart that was pulled by animals. So this one with the car, I was like, okay, yeah, you're right. All right. I can do hiking, get a car, go to the trailhead and make it happen. And it was amazing. I drove across the country of France, was in the caves, just recommitted myself to the divine, recommitted myself to my self-love, recommitted to my main character energy. It was amazing. It was a beautiful, beautiful time. Another powerful example of how negative conditioning can influence our perception of the natural world, and particularly how it relates to this polarizing. You've heard of the phrase fragile as a flower, right? It often is implied weakness or inferiority. It's less than. Well, what if we reclaim it? What if we reframe it as fearless as a flower? As we embrace the beauty of spring, it's all around us. We've got flowers we're witnessing blooming all around us. Let's consider the journey these flowers take. From a tiny seed buried beneath the soil, they have to push through the dirt and the mud, withstand turbulence like rain and wind, and endure countless challenges before emerging above the ground and unfurling their delicate yet resilient petals for all of us to see. Despite their outward appearance of being fragile, flowers embody a remarkable strength and endurance. They serve as a powerful metaphor for resilience, reminding us that even in the face of adversity, we have the capacity to flourish. So let's adopt the mindset as fearless as a flower. Let us recognize that inherent strength within ourselves, Mother Earth, within each other, celebrating this resilience and grace and beauty in all of its different forms. Just as the flowers bloom amidst this adversity, may we all rise above these challenges, embracing our inner strength and shining brightly for all the world to see. Right? Like flowers are always forward and their leaves are like next to them or like lower. The beautiful parts are standing tall and proud. So I hope we can all liberate our heart's desires. Life is in session right now. It is our soul curriculum, and we can map it out. We can manifest it. I believe that true joy comes from knowing our authentic selves. And if we're not looking at ourselves through the lens of feminism, we're kind of selling ourselves short, really. So if you are ready to reconnect with your female frequency, your main character energy, join me on that life mapping workshop on May 23rd. I call it the Full Petal Project. We can explore your life events through the feminist perspective and really unleash your full spectrum potential. Now, this is an exercise that I do for my main character energy to remind myself what I'm doing, how to manifest. It's something that I also use to guide my clients who are creative entrepreneurs to their next level of success. Now, my favorite part is that it's a creative exercise. Again, it's called the Full Petal Project. I'm a visual learner, so I need something in front of me. I don't want something inside of a journal. I need it like in front of me. So we are going to create a flower sculpture, one petal at a time. Now, I call it the Full Petal Project because we will be making a flower sculpture one petal at a time, one life event at a time. And then next, I'll guide you with feminist prompts to revisit your life events. It's really great. I've been able to become a better communicator. I'm so much more embodied and informed about my life's decisions and situations. It's allowed me to be so much more creative. And remember, you are the main character of your own story. So embrace it, live it, and watch as your frequency guides you to the life you've always dreamed of. Now, I got to tell you, I chose May 23rd for a lot of reasons, but I got to tell you, it's also the full moon. It's also called the flower moon. So I'm even triply more excited to share this process with you. I'm so excited. Now, seats are going to be limited, so reserve your spot today. This is where you can do that. You can go to pressrain.com and then you'll be redirected, but go to the tab marked school and then you'll see Full Petal Project right there. All right, I'll see you there. Thank you so much for vibing with the female frequency today. If this episode or any other episode has helped transform or shift your perspective in any way, please tell me all about it. Tell me all about it in a review where you are listening to this podcast. It will totally help me out and help spread the vibe. If you're a creative looking for more support, this is what I do for a profession. I often host workshops, and you can find out all about those on my website. So take a look at www.pressrain.com. That's PRESSREIGN.com. All right, y'all, until next time.